Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. Welcome back to a brand new series on the CSGO News channel. This will be called MTDM, or My Thoughts Do Not Matter, and they truly do not. This is going to be a series where I present my opinions to all of you guys on certain topics that we address down in the comment section, pretty much submitted by all of you guys via Twitter or the comment section here. It's going to be a highly interactive series involving all of you guys and your opinions as well. So if you guys have any topics you want me to talk about next, please leave that in the comment section down below or tweet me on Twitter as well. So this is going to be addressing the most recent video of Thorin's, or a video he actually had a couple days ago about the elite tier. If there were an elite tier in CSGO. Now, many of you guys are aware of the problem right now. Not really a big issue, but we really aren't really sure of these certified tiers. Whenever I address in a CSGO News episode and I say a tier 1 team, a top tier team, a lower tier team, tier 2, 2, 3, like, what do I actually mean by that? Because there's no structured tiers out there. No one actually knows the full truth, and it's really based on personal opinion. My top tier team or my tier 1 team could be a tier 2 team for someone else. It's a really big opinion out there on the CSGO community right now, and so we're never actually going to be able to certify these actual tiers. But Thorin actually addresses, if there were an elite tier, that would be the tier above our tier 1. So for this instance, and specifically, I want to talk about, for my tier 1, let's say my tier 1 is going to be the top 10 to 15 teams in the world for myself, and the tier above that is going to be called the elite tier. And in this case, guys, we're going to call the elite tier, the percent of confidence, where if I had this group of elite teams, I'd be willing to bet on them against the entire field in a major or big tournament, and I would be likely to win that bet. So what I mean by that is, if I have, let's say, 4 elite teams, for this instance, and specifically, let's say I have Virtus.pro, SK, Na'Vi, and Cloud9. Just a random 4 teams. Well, not really random. You'll see about that. I'll talk about it later on. Those are my 4 elite tier teams. If I believe they are elite tier, I am fully confident in betting on one of them to win a next big event. So let's say for the next E-League major, guys, if all 4 of those teams do manage to actually get into the major, a couple of them already obviously are legendary teams, I am fully confident, or at least partially confident, highly confident, that one of those 4 teams, I will place money on them, that one of those 4 teams will win the tournament. So that's what we're going to call our elite tier here. So I do want to discuss, if you guys did not see Thorin's video, he talked about his elite tier teams being Virtus.pro, can't disagree there, SK Gaming, Na'Vi, and his 4th team was Dignitas for his 4 elite tier teams. I do disagree with some of these guys, but let's, again, for this case, let's say that we must choose 4 elite tier teams. I'm going to elaborate on why I chose my teams as well, and they are a little bit different from Thorin's. I have also reasonings why maybe some other elite tier teams could jump into these. But again, our main comments, guys, I want you to leave down below. This is going to be a highly interactive series, hopefully, is if you guys had to choose 4 elite tier teams, who would your elite tier teams be? Who would you be confident enough to bet on for the next major? So first off, has to be Virtus.pro, my number 1 overall choice. Many of you guys know these last 3 months, a team that has been steadily dominant. It's kind of crazy to think about, though. You go back to July, we had Virtus.pro's very own Taz. He put out a Facebook post saying he might be retiring, the team might be disbanding, and then all of a sudden, a couple weeks later, this team is on fire and not being able to be stopped. The last 3 months, they have the highest grossing prize pool of any team out there, and so dominantly. They look so good. Obviously, winning E-League Season 1, that was a big tournament there, one of their biggest prize pools. I believe it was $400,000 there, and again, a big reason why they're the highest grossing team here. They also won DreamHack Bucharest, and I believe also on top of that, of course, their second place to ESL New York, to Na'Vi there. Na'Vi, a team that looks very good and dominant there as well. But still, one of the most dominant teams over the course of the last 3 months, and a rare gem in the CSGO community. You're never going to see a lineup like this again that lasts so long. Even SK Gaming, I think change is imminent there. Virtus.pro, a diamond in the rough here, a team that I really do believe is going to be consistent throughout this, hopefully 2017, and I really do believe they're an elite tier team, and I guess a lot of people are probably going to agree with that one. SK Gaming, maybe some of you think SK Gaming's in a slump. I know Richard Lewis said after they placed second place at the ESL Pro League Finals, one of their bigger successes actually, he said they're now officially in a slump. Well, if you were going to say they were in a slump, you would have said that a couple months ago after they had won our last 2 big events there, obviously the last major as well. You would say now they're in a slump. But obviously when you're having a high point like that, you're going to come down for a little bit. I really do not think SK Gaming are for lack of better words, in a slump. I really don't think that's right, especially after they placed second place to a legitimate looking Cloud9. Cloud9 looking amazing. So I do want to discuss really quick here why I think SK Gaming, obviously winning that last major, ESL Cologne, a big prize pool there. They are our second grossing, highest grossing team in the last 3 months, because in the last 3 months, that major was included in that. Also on top of that, we do have ESL Pro League Finals, that second place finish to Cloud9. Again, not too many, big performances out of them, but the big performances that matter, SK Gaming does show up. Even though they were in front of their home crowd and they still got, second place is not much to argue with. If you're going to have a top 2 finish at every big tournament, that's a really good job by them. Now, I do want to briefly discuss the imminent change change the SK Gaming roster. I do believe in that. I do believe it's sometime, maybe before the major, maybe not. A lot of people are thinking FNX will be that targeted member. I actually think there are a lot of different members on SK Gaming that could be targeted, whether it be Taco, who has been, probably the worst of all the 5 players if you want to look at frag wise, and then even Fur's been slumping a lot ever since his surgeries, not injuries as well. So even though, despite all that, guys, I do think Virtus Pro and SK Gaming are by far and away my 2 elite tier teams that I would have full trust in betting on. Now, the other teams here, guys, that I do want to mention off are major ifs. Teams you could definitely, fill in other teams for. Anywhere in the top 8 teams in the world, you could definitely have, different instances where different teams fit these actual standards. I do partially agree with Thorin. I think Na'Vi is a team where, you could place them in elite tier, but honestly, you've only seen glimpses of their actual stardom they have with Simple on their lineup. As many of you probably know, they've had Simple for now 4 months and only one big win. That was at ESL New York, where they really showed up and played very well. Now, besides that, though, they failed to qualify for ESL Pro League finals. They made it out of groups at Epicenter, but besides that, they got destroyed by Dignitas. Now, you can't really negate that because at Epicenter, Dignitas went on to win that. They were playing out of their minds. So Na'Vi, kind of a fair top 4 finish there as well. So besides ESL New York, though, really no major big wins, no major consistency across that lineup. But they definitely you've seen flashes of stardom in that lineup, especially with Simple carrying them across that big win at ESL New York. So definitely a team where we have not seen consistency from them, but in the future, they can only get better and better. At least we hope to see that. So that's why I would put them in an elite tier team as of right now. They definitely have the firepower, but can they put that and can they land those shots? That's the big question. So that's why I would agree that Na'Vi probably deserves a spot in this top 4 teams of mine. On top of this, though, because I put Na'Vi in here, a lot of you guys are probably going to disagree with this one. My 4th team would be Cloud9, a team who has looked amazing, obviously against North American teams. But yes, my main point here is going to be the ESL Pro League Finals. Now, a string of, slight victories here and there. Of course, across summer, they won almost, they pretty much won between them and Immortals. They won every single American event, or at least top prize pool. They had such an amazing streak going on, especially ESL Pro League. And then eventually, it continues their reign as they won ESL Pro League Finals, as many of you guys know just recently here. And they did take down SK Gaming. Now, I do want to talk about this. I really, really, truly believe, at least if we can see the excellence we saw out of Cloud9 at ESL Pro League Finals, this is a top tier team in the world, if not in my elite tier. They are my top 4 teams as of right now. Hopefully they continue this on. As many of you probably saw in the ESL Pro League Finals, people negating their actual run. Okay, they beat teams like Optic Gaming. Optic Gaming, obviously a North American matchup there, so many people are going to negate that no matter what because they didn't have to play a European team. But they dominated Optic Gaming, swept them 2-0, dominated that series. They then played Mouse Sports. People saying, oh, Mouse Sports hasn't had a good year. They've had a pretty good year. They're a solid lineup. They dominated them as well, swept them 2-0 in that best of 3 series. And then they faced off against SK Gaming in the final, the hometown favorite, the favorite team for this entire tournament. And yes, they take them down. Even after blowing a 13-2 lead in game 1, they then reverse sweep them and win the last 2 maps, 16-6, 16-5. It was absolutely insane to watch. If Cloud9, if that team shows up for the rest of the year in 2017, they are an elite tier team, and I truly believe that. Now, you guys could also argue maybe it's because of the duo, Stewie 2K, automatic. Yes, but every good team has good duos. Now, I do want to argue as well, a team that I would switch in probably for Cloud9 here is Dignitas. Dignitas was actually Thorin's 4th pick for his elite tier team, this being because they obviously won Epicenter. Now, why I would argue that Cloud9 has the spot over them is because Cloud9 won ESL Pro League Finals more recently than Epicenter a couple weeks ago, which Dignitas won. Dignitas also, after winning Epicenter, they then went out of group stages. They didn't even make it out of group stages out of ESL Pro League Finals. So it was kind of a really weird time to see where Magisboy, Config, Rubino, MSL, the entire Dignitas lineup went off at Epicenter, especially that duo that I mentioned before. But then after that, I mean, you expect them to win this ESL Pro League Finals, and they don't even make it out of group stages. It was kind of surprising to see. So, I could argue that Cloud9 could be subbed in for Dignitas, but that was my top 4 guys: Virtus Pro, SK, Na'Vi, and Cloud9. As of right now, those are my top 4 elite tier teams. But again, my thoughts don't matter. Your thoughts do. Please leave a comment down below if you guys had to choose 4 top teams or 4 elite tier teams that you were fully confident in betting on for the next major. Who would they be? Also list down below, guys, topics you want me to talk about in the future. I know I stuttered in and out of this one. I'm sorry. This is the 3rd time I recorded this because the first time I recorded it, I nailed every single topic and I forgot to record in full screen, and so it just didn't work out. So hope you guys all enjoy this first episode, the pilot episode of My Thoughts Don't Matter. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think of the episode. And yeah, I want to talk about more things in the future. I really love rambling on to you guys about specific things, about certain teams, whatever it may be. If you guys want this in the future, please leave a thumbs up. It leans more than you guys think. As always, live, love, laugh a lot. My name is Jake. Remember, I like you. I'll see y'all next time. Remember, I like you.